So welcome everyone to the IDEA session for January 18th, 2024. And our presenter today is Dr. Ralph Mason. So glad that you're here with us today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much for this opportunity, and thank you for our connection. We started with a conversation, and it expanded to me actually being a part of Missouri Arts Council now, the Positive Zone Corporation. Thanks to you making the connection and the dots, crossing the T's and the I's. We appreciate you so much for that. And I plan on doing a lot of work with you. And also thank you for connecting me with MAAA, MAAA, Academics Attendance Achievement. No, that's not what it is. And so just honored to have this opportunity to share some information that would be transformation, and hopefully we can grow together during this conversation. So I start every session out with this: read everything, listen to everyone, believe absolutely nothing until you can prove it with your own research. And once you prove it with your own research, make it a lifestyle. Read everything, listen to everyone, believe absolutely nothing until you yourself can prove it, until you can prove it with your own research. And once you prove it with your own research, make it a lifestyle. During this conversation, I will say some things that you might not know. And I might say some things that you know, and if you know are wonderful. But if I say something that you don't know, it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It just means that this is an opportunity for us to learn and grow together. So hopefully I can say some things that you don't know so we can grow, and you can share with me what we can do to make the world a better place and not a bitter place. So we're going to start out with the word inclusion. The word inclusion means equal access to opportunities and resources for people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalized. If a person draws a circle and exclude you, you draw a bigger circle and include them. I'm gonna say that two more times. If a person draws a circle and exclude you, you draw a bigger circle and include them. If a person draws a circle and exclude you, you draw a bigger circle and include them, and you become the bigger person. If you're dealing with a person that is rude to you, cuss them out. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Don't cuss them out. I'm just kidding. Uh, because there's a lot of things that we want to say when people do things to us. Keep a smile on your face. And when you keep a smile on your face, you take away that power from the person and they become powerless. With this whole concept of inclusion, it's not necessarily what a person says, and it is. They used to say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt. Words are very powerful. So it's very important that we watch our words. Our words create worlds and even galaxies. Our words are very important and powerful. So it's very important we have to watch and listen to what we say. These are a few words that are in concert, and I'm using the word concert, incongruent, and connection, because this arts presentation as well, but it's diversity, inclusion, equity, belonging. These are words that are connected to this word inclusion: incorporation, introduction, taking in, addition, involvement, connecting group actions, being considerate, courtesy, just a few. But watch this. There are millions of words that need to be added to the few words that I told you concerning inclusion. Go with the flow and grow with the flow. Go with the flow and grow with the flow. When we begin to talk about inclusion, there are a lot of things that comes up. One of the words with inclusion, there are a lot of exclusions. We exclude people for whatever reason, because they're different, because their voice is different, because they talk different than us. And it's very important that you include everyone, that every person that you meet, that they are extremely important, that every person that you come in contact with, that they are important. The Positive Zone Corporation, we are inclusionist. We embrace all genders. We embrace all styles. I have a song that I wrote that's called Foreign Stamp Learner. It's an inclusion song. Foreign Stamp Learner. We all learn in different ways. We don't think alike, and that's okay. As long as you grow in the learning and inclusion flow. Now I know I don't have to think like you. Now I know as long as my dreams come true, as long as you grow in the inclusion and learning flow, we can mine the same thing, M-I-N-E, without having the same mind, M-I-N-D. We don't have to agree with everything. We can disagree and be respectful in our process of disagreeing. During this concept of inclusion, in the word inclusion, we have to understand that we need a work and life balance. A lot of times it's too much work and too much life, not a balance. We're doing too much without a balance that will infect and affect your ability to embrace inclusion, because you think that the world is according to your standards and how you perceive things to be, because there's no balance. Once there is a balance, once the balance is a factor, we can receive people from a different perspective. But most of the times we're not balanced because we want it this way. We see it this way. And when we meet someone that's different than what's in our small circle, we push them away. If you are the smartest person in your circle is too small. If you are the smartest person in your circle is too small. So we want to align ourselves in the energy and synergy of inclusion with those that are smarter than us, that can give us tools and ammunition to work with people that we might not necessarily agree with, and have the energy and synergy of inclusion and not exclusion. During COVID-19, there was a lot of issues that were going on, a lot of disparities, a lot of frustration, a lot of anxiety. It was a lot that was going on. Should you get vaccinated? Should you not? Should I speak to this person? You know, you used to sneeze and people say, bless you. Now, if you sneeze, they say you have COVID. So a lot has happened during the pandemic. School, church, home, communities, the entire world has changed because of what happened in 2020. You had the social unrest, police brutality, Black Lives Matter movement, Back the Blue, Karen, hey Karen, Asian hate, the political divided on January 6th, left versus right, masking, should I wear a mask, should I not? Hate. So a lot of things happen, and there is a big pink elephant in the room as it relates to inclusion. But no one wants to talk about it. We want to shy away from it because we just want it to go away. It's not going to go away. That's why I love this organization, Missouri Alliance for the Arts Education, because they deemed it necessary to have these sort of conversations to again make the world a better place and not a bitter place. We're so bitter and so divided, but in our hearts we're undivided. So as we begin to understand inclusion, the inclusion world, watch this, is full of beauty as other worlds above are. It's great to include and not exclude. It's great to create a trail and leave a path. Create a path and leave a trail. Create a trail and leave a path. Mix of words, but basically the same thing. So we need to talk about this inclusion piece, and we need to express ourselves in the way that we express. Some people express monotone. Some people expressed vibrantly. Some people expressed entertaining. There are 4 personality types. It's really more than that, but for the sake of saying it as it relates to inclusion, there's the ruler. They always have to be in charge. There's the relator. They're kind of like playing both sides of the fence. There's the analyzer, that everything has to be in sync and in order. And then there's the entertainer, where everything is zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day. My, oh my, what a wonderful day. So you have those personality types, and each personality gets on the other personality nerves, but we have to learn how to work with each other. The analyzer does not like the entertainer in inclusion. The relator does not like this person. So we, again, can mind the same thing without having the same mind. Let's include each other. Let's make this place and space a good place and space to be. We can begin this with having conversations around the real deal of what inclusion is. And we all have our opinion and opinions about what inclusion is. Let's move on. Let's go to the word equity. Equity means the quality, fairness, and justice as is distinguished from equality. Equity and equality are 2 different things. It's spelled similar with a different meaning. Equality means providing the same for all. Equity, the word that we're going to focus on, is giving everyone an opportunity. Equity is like, well, equality is like giving everyone a shoe. Equity is giving everyone a shoe that fits. I'm going to say that again. Equality is giving everyone a shoe. But equity is giving everyone a shoe that fits. And once we understand those two distinct differences between equity and equality, we want to lean more towards the equity. These are the words that are connected to equity: fair-mindedness, justice, fair play, honesty, goodness, balance. This is how we've done it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. That's the problem. We need to fix what was broke. That's the issue concerning equity. We do not want to move to the next level because we've been doing it for so long. And that's the problem. That's the problem with systems. That's the problem with the world. And most people are not good listeners as it relates to expression. If a person needs to express themselves, we're in the same playing ground. So if I listen to what you are saying, then I get involved with what you're saying. If I'm just hearing it, I'm around the proximity of what it is. So it's very important that we learn the art of communicating and moving to the next level. Anybody got any questions at this point that you would like? Any questions? Any questions? Take them live, Phyllis. If you got a question, come on, let's have a conversation. This is an interactive conversation. Do you have any questions or comments? Anybody? Everybody don't speak at the same time. Go ahead.
I'll go, just in that I was reflecting on your statement about getting a shoe, having a shoe that fits and not.
Right.
And I don't know if you can see this image on the screen as it relates to this is from our website, but
Yep.
it had a photo credit here from the actual author and artist who created it. And I was just thinking about your analogy about the shoe and that fits as I was relating to this graphic.
Excellent.
And it's not exactly a question. It's just something that I'm going to be giving some more thought to.
Reality, equity, equality, liberation. Yes, we have to have these conversations. It has to come. We have to have the conversations. We cannot shy away from it. Dr. Tate, do you have any comments, Dr. Tate? Go ahead.
No, I'm really enjoying all of it. I think that if we had more people to hear this, I think that a lot of things will be resolved, not only in the church world, but also at schools, everywhere we are. Because right now, there's enough division going on, even with teachers and students, with
Absolutely.
and if people would actually just say, you know what, we all are human beings, and let us just reason together, let's talk it through, talk it out, and let's go further on. But we're stopping ourselves, and we're stopping even like I said, in church and in school. The only reason why I say about school, because I always was a teacher on the side of school, like with Dr. Williams. She would say, well, this is what your grandchildren are doing. You might need to handle something. You may need to do something so they can be more, so they can relate to each other. Because sometimes they just don't want to relate to each other.
Right.
And I think one reason, because of how it is at home sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes I believe it's because it may not be my house. It may be someone else's home. And because how they feel about a thing. You know, then you have some issues, then you got fights, then you got, someone's being expelled. So I really believe, and I thank you for saying all that you're saying, Dr. Mason, because I think that what we really need is this kind of in a bigger, I would say in a bigger, grander, where we all can hear this and not
Absolutely.
certain people, because I could take it and run with it. You could take it and run with it. But guess what? Someone might be saying, what are you doing?
Right.
But we just need to get to a place where I truly believe if we can get others to hear this and say, you know what, you're no better than I am, I'm no better than you.
Absolutely.
Guess what? I don't care how many doctor degrees. I don't care how long you've been in church. I don't care.
Right.
All it is that we're here to be helpers one to another. That's enough.
No, I love it. I love it. This participation is
That's
good.
just how I feel.
Dr. Cynthia, can you make a statement?
Well, I wrote down a few things. I appreciated what you said about if you're the smartest person in your circle's too small. I love that. I love to surround myself with people who are smarter than me.
That's excellent.
And I like the make a world a better place, not a bitter place. I appreciate that. I feel like also along with what you said, I feel like we as a society are losing our ability to listen with an open mind.
Right.
And this is an important message. And we have gotten to where we are so divided, we won't even listen to one another
Absolutely.
long enough to even hear what and understand what the other person is saying.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's very important. And that was one of the points, listening versus hearing. Listening means that I get involved with what you're saying. Hearing is around the proximity of sound. But once I get involved, and we don't have to agree to work together. And so I appreciate that statement. Mr. Hewlin Willis, do you feel like making a comment? He's the international consultant for the Positive Zone Corporation. Mr. Willis, if you want to. I guess he's not. What about Miss Maggie? Any comments? Can't hear you.
You're muted right now, Maggie. Can you?
Okay.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead, Maggie.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
When I was an art teacher in Clayton, I was on a committee called PASS, and it's Parents of African American Students for Success. And it was primarily African American because these were, many of them were volunteer transfer students in the transfer program. And they would come to these meetings with concerns and certain concerns about the way they felt their students were being treated. And we discussed this. They discussed their what they wanted for the parents. Said it was an open, what we call an open mic. They were very frank and honest, and somebody said, and it was primarily, I would say 90% African American, 10% Caucasian. And somebody said, why are there Caucasian parents and teachers in this group? And I was so glad to hear one of the parents spoke up and said, we live in a diverse city. We teach, and our students go in a primarily Caucasian environment because Clayton is highly Caucasian, but they're in a mixed group because of the voluntary transfer program. And we need a mixed group to understand these concerns. And everybody spoke up and said, yes, this group needs to be a diverse audience, and we all need to share freely. And it's an open mic. And whether you agree or don't agree, now's the time to speak up.
Excellent. That's excellent. And thank you for that. Thank you, because how did you know that I was going to be talking about what you just said? You're in my notes. Get out of my notes. Get out of my notes, man. Get out of my notes. It brings me to this next point, which is diversity. Now, this is absolutely in line with what you just said. The word diversity means the practice of quality of including people, what you just said, from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds. That's the first line that's on my paper. Exactly what you said. Diversity means the practice or quality of including people from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds. Diversity also is a wide and variety of, now watch this, you're gonna like this one. This is kind of like a little twist that I put into it. Diversity is also a wide range and a variety of baggage that we all bring. See, if baggage means that your baggage is not my baggage, your concept is not my concept, but it's still baggage. But if we can bring it all to the table, we can be able to shift our society in the right perspective. Because your baggage is not my baggage, but we can learn from each other. And baggage, in short, is differences. Because a lot of times when we're different, people are upset. But that could be the way that you were raised. That's the way that you say things. That's the way that you see things. You know, some people can say half empty, half full. But if you're thirsty and it's a water, you're not going to say, it's a half cup of water, it's a half full, half empty. You're just going to drink it. You're not going to go into a thesis or a debate your thirst. So until we understand what you just said about including different people in different backgrounds, regardless of where you come from, we'll never move. What I always say, from good to great. This conversation, Phyllis, the organization, is a big step for us to move forward. I'm encouraged that you are on here. I'm encouraged that the doctors is on here, Mike and everybody, because it starts where we are. It's the 80-20 rule. 20% of the people run the 100%. And so those that are here, I'm encouraged. And I'm going to say this and then we're going to conclude because it's 5:12. To your point, Maggie, and everybody else, diversity is much more than the definition that we think it is. Diversity is ability, it's age, it's appearance, it's culture, it's education, it's understanding the gatekeeper, because in some diverse situations, the gatekeeper will keep you from coming inside the gate. And we have to learn how to work and navigate through that gatekeeper. We have to also learn with this whole concept of diversity, witch hunt. People that deflect on what is the actual and absolute truth. Diversity is gender expressions. Diversity is personality. Diversity is race. Diversity is religion. Diversity is generation. Diversity is your height, your weight, no hair, short hair, blind hair, multicolored hair, negative, assertive, locks, braids, afro puffs, puffy puff, passive, aggressive, negative, positive, energetic, dry as wheat burnt toast. That's diversity. PhDs, MBAs, counselors, students, teachers, blue eyes, brown eyes, black eyes, gray eyes, red eyes, tall, short, jewelry, tattoos, wearing pants, wearing dresses, wearing skirts, a communicator, those that don't communicate well, abusers, rich, poor, wealthy, renting an apartment, owning several houses. All of this is diversity. It's more than just the gender. That's trite thinking. And it's 1 million more things that I'm not saying that's diverse. Single, divorced, married, all of these things. What community you live in, what food you eat. And if you do not like Chinese food, I have a problem with you, because Chinese food is the best food in America. But anyway, that's again my point, my opinion. So as we move forward with this whole concept of diversity, inclusion, and equity, and also belonging, we have to understand that we can mind the same thing without having the same mind. It is bigger than what we're saying. It's more to what we could ever imagine what it is. James Baldwin said this, and I quote, James Baldwin. How you doing, Pastor Jeff? Appreciate you. God bless your heart. Anyway, so James Baldwin said this, and I quote, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced." Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. We must be the change, Gandhi said. We must make the change. We must master the change. We must manage the change and make that a part of our everyday life, and understand that celebrating differences is the highest level of maturity. But most of us don't want to celebrate differences. We don't even want to celebrate each other. We just tolerate each other. And then we have to work with each other and deal with each other and act like people don't exist. There's a quote that says, "A challenged woman or man will burn down an entire nation to rule over ashes." Think about that. We're so challenged to burn down nations to rule over ashes. It's very important that we make the change, be the change, manage the change, master the change, and understand that it's very important that we're different, and stop tolerating and start celebrating. Dr. E, you want to respond to that? I know that your ears are burning. Put Dr. E on. I know she got something to say about that. Dr. E?
I know you may not be able to see, she has turned her camera off. I
Okay,
did
okay,
ask her to unmute. She may have had to step away for just a moment.
okay, she did. Okay, all right. So, do you have any comments, Phyllis, about that diversity piece? That is more than just everything that we have traditionally said.
Yes, all I'll say is that I think that there are varying degrees of comfort and lots of the choice to shy away, or the action of shying away from conversation, difficult conversation, is based on fear. And that there is comfort, like one person may have greater comfort talking about gender issues, whereas they see that males are treated differently than females, and um, yet that same person may not feel comfortable when they're talking about transgender folks or others. So, and I guess I'm reflecting on the piece that you said about baggage, our biases, our the ways in which we made sense of the world as we were growing up, and the
Mhm.
experiences that we do carry them with us. And I like the notion of bringing them into the light, and not shying away from examining them. I think that is a path toward that balance, that health, and that healing.
Excellent, excellent. Anybody else would like to comment? Because we're wrapping it up. And so, again, with this whole equity, inclusion, diversity piece, I have a book that I wrote that's called Surviving the Cultural Shock. And it's on diversity and inclusion. And in the book, it says this: the space inside this circle represents my realm of knowledge. All that I think I know is depicted right here within the circumference of my awareness. I must keep in mind that there's more to know than what is within the circumference of my awareness. Here's our circle. What we know, there's much more to know than what we know. And as a matter of fact, the more that you study diversity, inclusion, equity, belonging, you realize how much you don't know, which means you have to continue to study to show yourself approved. We are all learning. We're all different, but we must respect each and every individual, especially those that are different than us. And once we understand that concept, then we're ready to understand the culture shock and survive it. And survive, it's a culture shock. We're different. I have no hair. Phyllis has a lot of hair. See what I mean? We're different. And until we celebrate our differences, we have a long way to go. That's the first step. Recognizing that someone is different than you does not mean that they're better. It just means that they're different. But we want people to be like us. We want similarities. And I understand that concept in theology and conversation, but more of us being different and embracing that baggage and embracing the differences and coming to the table saying, this is who I am, accept it, not reject it. We have to become what we're looking for. Whatever you want to happen, you have to become that. Dr. Cynthia, come and chime in with me. on that, if you will.
Oh, that's, I agree. I will say I agree. But when you were going into depth about diversity, it is so much more than I even had considered. It's
Wow.
multifaceted. And I think that's where a lot of people stop is, and like Phyllis said, when we hear something that makes us feel uncomfortable, that's where we stop.
Yep.
We don't want to hear all of the different facets of inclusion and diversity and equity,
Right.
because I feel uncomfortable. I'm not going to have any more of this conversation. If we can open ourselves to, well, what you in your book, Surviving the Culture Shock, if we can be open to that in a safe space,
Absolutely.
I think that is where change can begin to happen.
I agree. I agree 100%. I appreciate your comments. And there's another thing that we can move in the right direction as it relates to being different. You know, we have to understand, whether you want to or not, you're going to have to deal with a person that is different than you. Whether you want to or not, you can act like it's not going to happen. And you can walk away from it. You can be silent. You cannot say anything, but it does not mean that there's not an issue, and we have to talk about it. And it's just having a conversation and being respectful. Like I said, don't just tolerate a person, celebrate that person. Everyone that is on this call, everyone that I meet, I celebrate people. I celebrate differences. I welcome change. I welcome somebody. I have a phenomenal life. Travel, I love it. But if everyone was like me, Dr. Cynthia, it would be so boring. Even though my life is great according to my narrative, but to see different people. I had the grand opportunity, and I was talking to Phyllis, to go to Rome. It was a very eye-opener for me this year, this summer, in Rome. I like the Greek salads in America better than I do in Rome, but that's just personal. It's not as authentic. There's a restaurant that's called Apollonia that I frequent that's very good to me. And the guy is from Greece. He's from Athens, Greece. And that was one of the places that we went. But people were different. It was just amazing to see the different cultures, the way that the houses looked, that were different. Street vendors were different than it was in New York or California. It's beautiful. This is a beautiful world. The late, great Wayne Dyer said this. He said, mean world, diverse world, happy world, same world. It's the same world. And so we must embrace the difference and understand that your world is important. It's very important. Your perspective, yes, I can learn from you. That's the essence of diversity, inclusion, and equity. It's learning to be different. We make it bigger. Oh, no, it's learning. The essence of it is to learn. And once we grab that concept that we're different, that we will learn from each other, then the world would be a better place and not a bitter place.
Dr. Mason,
Yes.
good evening to all.
Good evening. Thank you so much. And I want to say this publicly. We have frequent Apollonia, the Greek restaurant. Go
I,
ahead.
I I hate that I came in on the end of it, but let me say this about diversity. That change is uncomfortable.
Yes, sir.
Change is very uncomfortable. And I would add that the truth is uncomfortable. Because listen, we hear it all the time. Well, just tell me the truth and just tell me. But when you tell people the truth and their truth,
Yes,
then
sir.
we become uncomfortable. And it's a fear of change. If we were all the same, my God, how boring this whole earth would be. Um, and Ralph travels and I try to get out of St. Louis as much as possible because I love experiencing uh, different things, different areas, uh, and what have you. And one of my and with working with young kids, uh, all they know is what they see, and exposure will help you to understand that everybody is not the same.
Absolutely.
Everybody does not look the same. Um, and so all they know is what they see, but it's only until you're exposed to something different that it helps you within to change. Now, sometimes with that change, it can become very uncomfortable at first.
Hmm.
But I was talking to some young people today, and they had this whole thing going on. They're middle school kids, and they're exposed to more than I ever was at their age. And the topics always come up about being transgender, being gay, and what have you. And so my answer to them, because you have to be very careful with them because they'll go back and take it out of context. But I told them this: whoever you are, or whatever choice, or whatever that any of that is, we all love the same. We all hurt the same. We all have our triumphs, our tragedies, and all of that is the same. We all feel when something happens to you, we all feel it the same, even though it may be different or a different title to it. My tragedy uh, may not be, you may not feel it the way I feel it, but it doesn't mean that you don't feel something when it happens. And so I want them to understand that regardless of a decision that you make or a choice that you make, that we all feel the same when things happen to us, when it happens to our loved ones, when it happens to our family, and when it happens to you. That's something that we have in common. I hate to see kids, anything happen to children. I hate to see anything happen to elderly people. It grieves me. But with this panel that we have now, I know you guys feel the same way. So we got to know on the inside, there's something on the inside of us that God has given all of us that we feel. And once you know that people feel a certain kind of way and people are hurt a certain kind of way, it helps you to be human. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
That's excellent. I appreciate you so much.
I-
As I,
One more thing was directly related to that. As I listened to Jeffrey Miller speak, I was thinking about that sense of discomfort that is essential to having the courage to face that which is uncomfortable, to face those fears or to face that dissonance. And that's where true transformation comes. And it's part of the human experience. It's what enriches all of our lives.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Our time is out. We can go on and on. We started a little late, so I got 2 more minutes, and then we're going to go. As I conclude, I want to leave you with this: D plus I plus E equals belonging. D plus I, diversity plus inclusion plus equity. You can put it whatever you want to, whatever you can say. I plus D plus E, E plus D plus I, E plus I plus D. It all equals belonging. The word belonging means engaging full potential of the individual where innovation thrives and views and values are integrated. I'm going to say that again. Belonging means engaging full potential. When you begin to talk about the word potential, that means that something great is going to happen. Your potential, what could happen, is wonderful. Where innovation thrives and views and value are integrated. Our true strength lies in how different we are. Our true strength lies in how different we are. As I conclude, thank you so much for this exciting, energetic, belonging, diversity, equity, inclusion conversation. Phyllis, on behalf, if you can come back to the screen real quick as I conclude, Phyllis, on behalf of the Positive Zone Corporation, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and we can definitely have more conversations. Thank everybody for the comments. Thank you, Phyllis. Thank you, Dr. Cynthia. Thank you, Dr. E. Thank you, Mike. Special friend Jeffrey Miller. Dr. Tate, thank you for your comments. And we're on to something. We're moving in the right direction.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mason, for your inspirational words. And thanks everyone for coming today. I did place a couple of things in the chat, and I'll also follow up via email with a link to an evaluation form. We do collect data after each one of our sessions to try to help ourselves improve. So please access that link and complete our short survey there. And we also invite all of you to become an ally of the Missouri Alliance for Arts Education. There's no fee to do so. We just try to build groups of folks that can help arts education in Missouri thrive. And we believe that these conversations are pivotal to helping that happen. So thank you so much. Good night, everybody, and thanks for coming.
Thank you.